miles. How fast is the Earth spinning? It's 24,000 miles around, and it's traveling. It must be. I could play the Monty Python song. You know, the guy that gets out of the refrigerator and sings, "Just remember that you're traveling it." You know that. If you're okay. So, it's hard thinking in Einstein's terms. I'm trying to keep your balance, you know, while thinking. I'm trying to keep my direction while the Earth is moving and I'm moving and I'm just being accelerated by the Earth. It's a heck of a lot easier to use the model of gravity. So I'm going to keep doing that. It's much easier. Is this fun? So, and you could talk about all of that in your answer to the quiz if you feel like it. Whatever you think. Okay. But let's get back now to Socrates. I'll just go here. So these are all the different, I don't know if all of these links work. But we mentioned that the sophists, they taught for money. One of the sophists was one of Socrates' teachers. And Socrates thought that it was a horrible way for the community to raise children because these were relativists. For them, man was the measure. In other words, we use man's decision about what's true to measure what's true. You can't actually find an objective truth out there. So instead what you do is you vote on it, basically. What's true? We both basically vote on it. Socrates clearly thought that that was wrong. He thought objective truth could be discovered. And he got in trouble with his contemporaries, so much so that they put him on trial. Did anyone have a chance to read the Apology? A few? Yeah, I have links to it posted, of course. There's lots of different ways. Notice, by the way, for readings, I have suggestions, links, and so on. I didn't recommend a book to purchase. Why? All of this stuff, especially even up to our contemporary times, is free on the internet. So there's no point in you buying a $150 book to get stuff that you could either get in the library or online. Lots of different translations and so on. But so if you if you had a chance, well, that one I did one Christmas during Christmas break, and I used the Greek translation tool on the internet. But let's just go. See what they'll give us here. Okay, this is the one I would have linked to anyway. So so Apology, the name itself, and by the way, I think this is true of all of the dialogues of Plato. So Plato is the author, but notice that Socrates is the character, the main character in almost all of them. So you wonder, well, okay, what's the connection here? Well, Socrates is Plato's teacher, and Plato, for whatever reason, literary reason, decides to always write with Socrates as the main character in all of the dialogues. So does that mean that Plato is the one that's thinking all of this, or is it Socrates that's thinking all of this? It's probably much more complex than that. They traditionally argue that Socrates is pretty well described by Plato in the early dialogues. So they say there's three different groupings of these dialogues: the early, the middle, and the late. The early dialogues, Plato is actually really giving you Socrates. This is what Socrates was like. The middle period, all of a sudden now, Socrates knows everything and has answers for everything. They're very boring, by the way, right? In fact, they're so boring, you even get funny comedy routines like this. Let's do this one.
The trial is over. Here's your hemlock. Ah, thank you. Well, what was the verdict? When do I get out of here? Socrates, the verdict was death. Death? You gotta be kidding me. For what? For teaching the youth wisdom. Well, I'll take it all back. Call him in here. I'll renounce everything. Let's get out of here. Let's go get some Chinese food. But Socrates, you drank the hemlock. So what? It's poisonous. It is? Since when?
This is funny, by the way.
Did you know hemlock is poisonous? I do now. Look, I only know general things. What is truth? What is justice? I've never learned details. I don't know what is poisonous and what is not poisonous. It's the kind of thing that irritates me about you guys. All right. I'm going to die. So what? When does this stuff take effect? 2, 3 years? 2, 3 minutes? What a lousy day this was. All right. I'm going to lay there, and I'm going to die. You know what's going to happen? You guys are going to go out, and you'll have dinner, and you'll sit and stare at each other. I was the only one who ever talked in this whole group. It was always Socrates, what is truth? Socrates, what is the nature of the good? Socrates, what should I order? Socrates, what are you having? And not once did anyone ever say, Socrates, hemlock is poison.
This was made in the 60s. LSD and other drugs of recreation.
Hey, Leo, how do you do that? What? Make your body like rubber.
They didn't have rubber, by the way.
Wow.
This would have been funny in a drug culture environment.
You know, I could eat 1,000 chocolate chip cookies right now. I'm okay. I feel better. Must have been just a passing. Later. Come to me. Yes, Master.
I love the birds.
What did he say? He said, "Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come, want to go home.
Sorry about that. That's just funny. Lots of things wrong with it, of course. Socrates, of course, knew that the hemlock was poisonous. The character of Plato was not at the death, by the way. By the way, you could actually visit Greece in Athens, and you could visit the place where this happened. Oh, well, I wanted the actual place. In any case, you could go.
Philosophy means love, is the fire of love, Sophia wisdom.
Oh, well, there you go. But you can actually visit, there's a cave, which is kind of a jail, and that's the location they know where that occurred, etc. So you can go visit. So this is all historical, pretty clearly. By the way, if some people compare Socrates to Jesus. Jesus, anybody ever heard of Jesus?
Thing or two.
So, yeah, when I was a kid, my dad used to refer to Jesus all the time with the middle initial. Anybody know what the middle initial was?
H.
H. Where does that come from? It's just interesting. In any case, for those who have read the Apology, was Socrates guilty?
Like feeling wise,
Yeah.
like he felt guilty.
Did he feel
From
guilty?
What I'm reading here, it does not seem super guilty about it, but I might be missing.
Well, apology, of course, is interpreted as the defense. How many of you have ever given anyone an apology? It's your explanation of it. What's the root of it? Well, Apollo, the god Apollo, literally means APO means of or from, and logos means the explanation or the order, whatever. So literally Apollo means the defense or from reason. You think of it, the name Apollo, the god Apollo, right? And Socrates explains in the Apology why he did the kinds of things he did. And his explanation was, it was the god's fault. Right? Why? His friend, Chaerephon, which means he's the one that hears it, right? Phon, like phone, right? Chaerephon is the one that goes and visits the oracle at Delphi, which you, of course, can go visit still. This is actually a contemporary scene of the place. There's another area, so you could go to the place. Obviously, there are ruins now, but what the oracle was a little temple right on the crack, which the Greeks believed to be the center of the earth, the place where the earth was formed from, etc. And there was a crack there with volcanic fumes coming out, still is, from what I understand. And the temple was built right over that, and then inside there was a tripod seat, which was kind of a famous thing, that you had your own tripod seat, and they would put that right over the crack, and the priestesses would have to sit on that, inhaling the fumes, and people would line up, pay the priests, come in and ask them questions. Hierophant goes up and he asks the priestess, is anyone wiser than Socrates? And the priestess, who basically is asphyxiated from the fumes, says, no. You can imagine, right? Other way, there's documents showing that the priesthood sometimes were upset because the priestesses said the fumes are too strong today, we can't work, and that meant no money, so they would argue with